Hey parents, it's Kevin. Just want to make sure that we get some information out there to you. We've been hearing some national statistics, and the statistics are basically telling us that 50% of students who graduate from youth ministry that go on to college nationwide are putting their faith on the shelf or completely letting go of their faith, and we really find that pretty alarming. It's almost like we line our kids up to play dodgeball and count them off 1, 2, 1, 2 to divide up teams. The ones go over here, the twos go over here. The ones stick in their faith and the twos put their faith on a shelf. We find that pretty scary going into it. This organization that's done this national study has also done a study on the students who have stuck in their faith through their college years to talk about maybe some of the common factors or some common things that they have all experienced that might help us to understand what we can do better in student ministry. There's 4 factors, and I kind of want to let you know about those because these are some things that we can start to do different and start to really have a different focus for student ministry in the coming years. The first factor is students that stay in youth ministry through the college years and volunteer. I would be one of those people, Rebecca would be one of those people. You kind of look around and think of the people who have been volunteers for student ministry. They really don't have the issue of leaving the church and having to go somewhere else and do anything. And so that's kind of a major factor that kind of naturally happens in student ministry. The other is faith in the home. And this is really what we're getting at and why we want to get this message out there to you, is that the more students have conversation with parents outside of church in a natural environment, talking about situations that your family may face and how we understand that with regard to our faith, the more of those conversations you can have with your student, the better the chances are your student's going to stick in their faith through their college years. We're going to talk about that a little bit more. One of the other factors that we found that's pretty interesting is students' interaction with other generations in the church. Rebecca's going to actually talk about that in a few minutes, but the more that happens, the more we can kind of facilitate an environment where students are rubbing shoulders with senior adults, with regular adults, with other people of the church, the more they're going to see what it looks like to have a faith when they come back as an adult from college, from their college years. Students that don't have these kind of opportunities are really kind of unsure where they fit once they return from college or once they become adult or go to adult Sunday school classes. And so that's one of the things that we really want to work on. The last major factor that we've found and that this organization's found is that students' theology, if their theology isn't deep enough and rich enough, when it comes time to challenge some of the earlier thoughts or ways that we've thought about God, and with regard to worldviews, with regard to other religions, with regard to professors and teachings, if we've not done our job to teach students to have a deep and rich understanding of who God is, we've done them a disjustice. So we're going to be talking about some things that we feel like is really important for us to understand, and maybe some ways that we need to change in order to focus on these 4 things. Rebecca's actually going to talk about one of the other things that we've come across called Orange, and I'll pass it off to her.
Hey parents, I just want to take a few minutes and talk with you guys about something called Orange. Orange, even though Kevin hates it, he's learning to love it. So if you see him, make sure you give him a hard time about orange, because now he can't hate it. So what I'm talking about here is how, when we were little, we learned about how colors mix together and they blend to make different colors. And so that's exactly what we're trying to do as a church congregation. We're trying to take our church and blend it together to create the color orange. We're taking red, which is the family life and home life and faith at home, and we're mixing that together with yellow, which is the church and the light of Christ, to form something in the middle, which is orange. And orange is really focused on taking the two and blending them together and creating, instead of just youth ministry and adult ministry and children's ministry, but taking them all together and creating a whole entire family ministry. And so that's something that we really feel passionate about and called to be living out in our church and teaching everybody to live out. 0% of students know how their parents came to faith. So if you asked one of our kids at youth on Sunday night how their parents came to Christ, or even maybe when they started coming to church, or how old they were when they started coming to church, most kids don't know that. They might kind of say, oh, well, I think my parents grew up in church, but beyond that, they don't know anything. So we want to change that. We want to make faith something that's talked about at home, beyond just, oh, you're going to Sunday school today. What did you learn? And then your student isn't going to, that's an easy out question. They're going to say, we talked about the Bible. So we want it to be something more than that, and we want you to be having substantial conversations with your students. With this, we're really focusing on having a partnership with the adults in our church and the children's in our church. It's really important that our students are teaching what they know to younger kids and helping them grow in their faith, but also are learning from, and even teaching some adults, but learning from them how they can find a church when they graduate from high school, or how they can get connected in a Sunday school class, and they can really see what it's like to live out their faith and be a Christian as an adult.
We really feel like it's important for us to make Orange for our church and families to really begin to start working together. One way that we're going to start doing that is giving you some tools for you to be able to have some of those important conversations other than how a school did they find. We want to help you to have some resources to really begin to start having some of those conversations. One of the things that we're going to do is what we're calling the Parent Q Mobile. This is where parents receive a text message at 6:55 on Sunday night, 5 minutes before we end youth, so that you can have a question to ask your student specifically about what they've talked about that evening, as well as something that's going to help you to begin a conversation with your student beyond just, how was youth tonight? Fine. So you can sign up for that on the website at hicksonumc.org in the student ministry section under parents. The other thing that we're doing is we've got a parenting class that's going on. Jim Lewis has been leading that, and they're continuing. And one of the things that they're going to be talking about is Sticky Faith. This is a book. We actually have copies for you. If you'd like to come and buy them, they're only $10. We're actually supporting some of the costs a little bit in order to get this message out. This is what we've been talking about. This is a book from Kara Powell and Chap Clark that really gives you some good ideas about things that you can do to begin to have an active role in your students' faith. So we find this pretty important, and we really want you guys to have the ability and the power to start having that kind of a relationship with your child beyond simple pat answers after youth and after school and things like that. So pay attention to those things as they're coming out, and we're also going to be working and brainstorming on some other ideas that we can help you to be able to do that with your students.
You know, our youth are passionate about helping out at Vacation Bible School. We have kids who volunteer in children's ministry all the time. It's just an easy connection for them, and it's natural for them. So what we're trying to do is we're really trying to find some other natural connections throughout the church so we can be connecting students not only to kids but also to adults in the church. You know, last summer when our students went to Charleston on a mission trip, we coordinated prayer partners for them, and you know, our students got a note from somebody who was praying for them back at home, or maybe a phone call just encouraging them and letting them know that they were praying for them. And you know, our students thought it was so cool, and the older adults who were prayer partners, they just thought it was a great idea too, and you know, they both really benefited from that. And so something that we thought was just a cool idea, it turns out that it really impacts our students and their faith and whether or not they're going to stick with their faith. And so what we're doing is we're trying to find natural connections like that we can continue to be building those relationships. So you know, some things that we're working on is continuing prayer partners. Not only are we encouraging on trips for us to have prayer partners for the students, but when other people in the church are going on mission trips or on retreats, that we have students that are also prayer partners for those people. Praying's a two-way street. Everybody can do it, and so adults don't just need to be praying for kids, but kids should also be praying for the adults. You know, we're working on a dance. We're going to have a dance for the church-wide in the fall, and it'll just be a great time for people of all ages to come together and rub shoulders. Something else that just turned out to be a great opportunity for our students was we invited some of the older adults to come to youth on Sunday night to main event, and you know, the youth loved it and the older adults loved it, and just these natural interactions with our students and these adults are really helping these students to see what it's like to be an adult of faith and what it's like to have this sticky faith that lasts well beyond high school and college and into their future.
Parents, that's all we've got, and thank you so much for watching, and I hope you're hearing the bottom line is student ministry cannot operate in a silo anymore. We are taking an all hands on deck approach from here on out, and we're going to need your help with that. Thanks for watching, and look forward to more stuff coming from student ministry.